How's everyone doing? Oh my goodness gracious. Ooh. Good morning, beautiful people. How are we all doing today? Oh. Oh my god. Oh my god, y'all. Oh my god. I have no words. It's showing nobody in here. That's weird. Is my chat off or something like that? Where is everyone? Hello? Is there anyone in here? Is there anyone in here? I've been on for a minute and there's literally like, I don't see anyone in here. Oh, there's one person. Okay, that's good. That's a start. Hello. Say hello, friend. I don't understand what's going on with my live stream. This is kind of weird. So if you are here, please say hello. Sometimes it's like me talking to myself for like a minute. Sometimes when I first start the live stream, it's like me talking to myself for about a minute. And it's like, what are we doing? So anyway, good morning. Okay, Akicha, hello. Did it just show up for you? Because I've been here for about 2 minutes. And it was like nobody was jumping in here. And I was like, okay, all right then. Oh my goodness, y'all. Oh my goodness. Okay, today is gonna be wild. I mean, it's wild most every day, but like, there's just, it's only gonna get more unhinged from here. Just popped up, yes? Okay, cool. It's only gonna get more unhinged from here. Now, I'm starting out with this, but let me also just tell you, there are some really strange, weird things that are popping up. In fact, why don't I skip ahead to something that just happened, okay? Last night, Donald Trump took to his Truth Social, and this is what he said. This is what he said. Our president is if he wasn't so dangerous for democracy, this guy would be the like funniest comedian in the world. So this is what Donald Trump said. You can see on his Truth Social post thing. Oh, and I covered up the timestamp. It was like yesterday evening. Okay, yesterday evening he says, "We won 2 world wars, but we never took credit for it. Everyone else does." What world is he living in? We won 2 world wars, and guess what? America does get the credit. What? Anyway, he says, "We won 2 world wars, but we never took credit for it. Everyone else does. All over the world, the Allies are celebrating the victory we had in World War II. The only country who doesn't celebrate it is the United States of America." What is he talking about? What is he talking about? I don't get it. I don't get it. I see that there are, oh, MJ, hello. That's okay. That's okay. No, I do not like Trump. No. Just look at what he said here, though. He says, all right. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of today's live stream, I saw this and I just had to share it, okay? This is something that Donald Trump posted yesterday evening, and it only gets more unhinged from here, okay? This is what he said. "We won 2 world wars, but we never took credit for it. Everyone else does." Hold on. Do we not take credit for it? Okay, so I guess the history books don't say that we won World War I and World War II. I guess it doesn't mention those things. I guess we don't teach our kids that. Like, what is he talking about? Then he goes, "All over the world, the Allies are celebrating the victory we had in World War II. The only country that doesn't celebrate it is the United States of America." What world is he living in? I swear to God, he's what world is he living in? And the victory was only accomplished because of us. Without the United States, the war would have been won by other countries, and what a different world it would be. And so this is what he said. Therefore, I am hereby declaring a national holiday in celebration of the victories of World War I and World War II, where the victory date was May 8th. And November 11th, 1918 and 1945. Now, this is what he then says. He says, now, we will not be closing the country for these very two important holidays. And I'm like, okay, so you're declaring a national holiday for these 2 days, but you're not closing the country for it. Why? He says, because we already have too many holidays in America. There are not enough days left in the year. What? What? Oh, hold on. You cannot say that we have too many holidays, but that there are not enough days left in the year. What? What? Does anyone speak Trump? Does anyone speak Trump? The fact that, like, this is what is strength to people is just crazy to me. It's just crazy to me. He literally says, I'm declaring a national holiday in celebration of the victories of World War I and World War II. We will not be closing the country for these two very important holidays because we already have too many holidays in America. There are not even enough days left in the year. What? Just for a second, put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say that Kamala Harris or that Joe Biden, or that Barack Obama were to say this. You know what right-wingers would be like, what does that even mean? He's not well. They'd be like, oh, look, Kamala's dumb as a sack of rocks, or whatever they would say. It's like, and then it's your guy, and you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. Makes total sense. You can free yourself from being just an absolute partisan hack cheerleader. Look, you don't have to like Democrats or be a Democrat to look at this and be like, this is just crazy. This is just crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Yet this is the guy that we have as the leader of our country, making big decisions on the ways of how our economy works, public safety works. We need to invoke the 25th Amendment because this guy is not fit for office. He has the rantings of a madman. If Biden were to say 1% of what Trump says, the right wing would go crazy for it. But you know why they don't hold their dear leader accountable? Is because they've signed on to be robots to cheer on whatever MAGA machine. They've given up their own self-autonomy and agency in order to be a part of a cult. That's what MAGA has done, whether they consciously realize it or not. But the reason why I bring all of this up is when you just look at this, the right-wingers would come to two different conclusions when looking at this if it was two different people. If it's Trump, they are like, oh, bravo, makes so much sense. What a great thing, Mr. President. I mean, you're the best. If Biden were to say this exact same thing, they'd be like, he's incompetent. He's not fit for office. He needs to resign. He needs to go. You know, he doesn't make any sense. It's obvious hackery. It's obvious. You don't have to play by those games. You know what you could do? Call a spade a spade. Give credit where credit is due, and criticism where criticism is warranted. But the right MAGA people physically can't do that. They can't. Think for yourself, dude. Think for yourself. Anyway, so now that we've had people jump in the chat, I just wanted to start off with that because, wow, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And I see all the people in here trying to get my attention, diverting the conversation. Minding your own business is free. Just saying. So, by the way, you will be muted and blocked if you spew misinformation or disinformation, okay? Or if you use your First Amendment rights to then harass or be rude, obnoxious, homophobic, sexist, racist kind of stuff. So if you whine about those consequences, then maybe you shouldn't say the awful stuff. Period. Got it. cool. Let's go to our main story here that I'm going to start out with because, whoo! So the title of the live is that MAGA doesn't know geography. Are you all familiar with this congressional lawmaker, Harriet Hageman? Harriet Hageman is the congresswoman from Wyoming. She is the person that succeeded, came after Liz Cheney. Harriet Hageman, to her credit, has held some town halls while having really, really embarrassing moments, in my view. But that being said, this is one of the wildest things that has come out of her mouth. So during a Rules Committee hearing yesterday, she was talking about a very real issue, and we'll get to that. But then she also tries to latch on some sort of weird Trump praise in regards to the Gulf of America. Let me just give it to you. House Republican botches U.S. geography while defending Trump's Gulf of America. Representative Harriet Hageman, a Republican from Wyoming, said President Donald Trump was right to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America because, she said, Mexico has been polluting the Gulf's waters near San Diego. I'm pausing because read that sentence again. Mexico has been polluting the Gulf's waters near San Diego. San Diego, of course, does not touch the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America, whatever they call it, but it's in the Pacific Ocean. Like, it's on the Pacific Ocean, 1,500 miles away. And of course, Twitter users were super quick to point this out, as I'll show you. But let me just give you her specific quote. She said that the main reason that Mexico has been dumping raw sewage into the body of water and that renaming it is a way to claim ownership of the area. No, you're not mishearing me. She pointed to a real problem and then said, let's just rename it to the Gulf of America as a way to solve the problem. She said, I think another reason that we should change this to the Gulf of America versus the Gulf of Mexico is for 40 years, the country of Mexico has been dumping raw sewage into the area near San Diego, California. That's another reason we need to retake and claim ownership of this area. Now, I am not going to make fun of people who don't know geography because geography is not easy to understand. But if you are a congressional lawmaker and you are a public servant and you are before a rules committee, you are an acting person elected to serve your constituents, don't you think at least you would do a tiny bit of fact checking? Don't you think you would at least consult and look at a map before you make claims? So are you just truly ignorant or are you incompetent? Or are you both? Because let me just point out, this is the Gulf of Mexico or America, whatever they want to call it. San Diego is over here. So how is it that the country of Mexico is dumping raw sewage into the Gulf of America at San Diego? Now, this area right here is actually called the Gulf of California. I think that's possibly what she means. But that's not what she said. But at the same time, you're like, oh, that's a cheap shot. No, if you are a person before a congressional committee, you can't just... You can't say with your full chest something and have it just be completely wrong without being criticized for it. Yeah, we're going to call it out. So, as you can see here, San Diego is nowhere near the Gulf of GOP geography, is what this person called it. Nowhere near it. It's like 1,500 miles away. Sorry, my green screen's a little bit wonky. So, this just happened yesterday. Now, what's so funny is, like, when looking at the responses on this video, which Asen, who's a very, very big Twitter, or I should say X user, posted this video, posted it last night at 4:52 p.m. It's gotten almost 2 million views within less than 24 hours. And I can't play the clip on YouTube Live because I do this from my phone in my car, and I don't have that capacity right now. But Hageman says, I think another reason we should change the name to the Gulf of America is for 40 years, Mexico has been dumping raw sewage into the area of into the area near San Diego. That's another reason we need to retake and claim ownership of this area. Okay, I have so many things I want to say, and I'm going to be reading the comments here. But first, if you are enjoying the live stream, if you're enjoying the live stream, then please make sure to like the stream. I love all of you. Y'all are incredible. So please make sure to like the stream. You all are awesome. Someone's saying that is there a San Diego, Texas? Hold on. Is there a San Diego, Texas? Can one of my moderators look to see if there's a San Diego, Texas? Because here's the thing. If you're talking about the real issue of the Tijuana River, and we'll get into that, that's talking about the issues of... She obviously meant San Diego, California. Like, I don't... Oh, God. The stretching that you have to do to be MAGA. Now, unless I'm incorrect, if one of my moderators can quickly go and fact check that while I'm on live, that would be awesome. Oh my gosh. So let me go through some of these comments really quickly. What's so funny is that Doge, this like Doge AI, it says automated here. It's trying to run cover for all of this. Renaming the Gulf of America isn't just symbolic. It's about accountability. Oh, so in order to stop polluters, we just rename a body of water and call it a day? Like, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. Despite the fact that San Diego is nowhere near, despite the fact that San Diego is nowhere near the Gulf of Mexico, someone should also explain to her that the area around the mouth of the Mississippi is a dead zone with no sea life and many extinctions due to the lack of U.S. concern for the environment. Someone tell that George Santos cosplayer that San Diego is 1,100 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. So the most logical solution is to sewage is a name change and a colonial land grab. This mad MAGA policy is peak performative nationalism. You don't retake geography that you already govern. Fix the infrastructure. Stop the theatrics. And let me continue here. Let me continue further. This person wrote, Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, doing this comparison. And I'm going to point out here, the sewage issue that Hageman referencing is very real. It's coming from the Tijuana River, flowing from Mexico into California, carries millions of gallons of sewage daily into the Pacific Ocean near San Diego, causing health crises like gastrointestinal diseases and stuff like that. So it is a real issue. And we're going to talk about it. And I have a degree in sustainable development, so obviously this is something I care about. You know, there's a lot of pollution, environmental awful pollutants that cause a lot of cancers as well. That's why they call the area around the Mississippi River in Louisiana Cancer Alley, because there's a lot of petrochemical plants that dump pollutants into the water, and it causes people around there to get sick, and that disproportionately affects communities of color, because that area has a lot of different communities of color on it, which is why it's then often called environmental racism. So anyway, but I'm going to read a couple other comments here. What I also find what I find just fascinating is, like, right now I'm seeing in real time, one of my moderators just texted me saying that, oh, she meant San Diego, Texas, San Diego, Texas. Well, here's the thing. Then why is it that the EPA head rushes to Mexico to address the Tijuana River sewage in recent San Diego visit? San Diego County communities have lamented public health impacts of sewage pollution in the watershed, which crosses into Mexico, into California before flowing into the ocean. This is a piece from Inside Climate News talking about how this is a real issue. Says each day the Tijuana River carries millions and sometimes billions of gallons of sewage across the U.S.-Mexico border into California. And that's an awful thing. That should not happen. I'm calling on Claudia Scheinbaum, who I tend to like, to try and do something about it. Like, but what I'm also seeing, and here you go. This is a picture in March of 2017. File photo. A sign warns of sewage-contaminated ocean waters on a beach in front of the iconic Hotel de Coronado in Coronado, California, which I'm going to assume is near San Diego, or at least that area. But what's really just fascinating to me, in real time while I'm doing this live stream, is the fact that one of my moderators just texted me and saying, oh, they're saying it's San Diego, Texas. San Diego, Texas. San Diego, Texas. Could it not be? Y'all have to try and, like, go somewhere else. You're doing whatever you possibly can to try and hold on to the fact that this person is a genuine good actor. Could it just be that she instead made an error? Y'all, you're so desperate to try and rationalize her words. It's okay to admit. You're like, you know what? Actually, like, the facts show that this problem is not happening in Texas. This specific issue is happening in California, near San Diego. She's right to point it out. She's right to point it out. And I give credit to her for doing that. But the fact that she makes such a big geographical error is also the point which people are highlighting. It's wild to me how some people are trying to defend her as saying, oh, she means Texas. So what you're also doing is invalidating all the people who are struggling with this exact problem in California. It's so wild that you all have to try and pull muscles with the amount of stretching that you got to do to justify it. Just listen to the facts that are at hand here. The facts at hand is she literally says the area near San Diego. Then she goes on to cite how she gives credit to Lee Zeldin, the director of the EPA, the head of the EPA, for going out there and trying to do something about it, which I give credit to him for doing that too. So why are you trying to then invalidate the whole problem itself? And see, for all of the quiet viewers that are watching this is how desperate the right has to go in order to justify whatever it is. They would rather maintain political stubbornness. They would rather hang on to whatever they possibly can to rationalize the words of their people instead of admit, you know what, maybe they were incorrect about it. Listen, if you're one of those MAGA people, if you're one of those people that is constantly doing that, it's okay to admit that your side made a mistake. It's okay to admit, oh crap, you know what, maybe this guy has a point. It's okay. It's okay to admit, like, when you don't have information, that you don't have all the information. That's why I said, if there's a San Diego, Texas, which apparently there is, but it's like a whole inland, but also it's not talking about that area. Now, there is pollutants that leach into the Gulf of America or Mexico, whatever they call it. But a lot of it comes from places like Galveston and Houston, as one of my friends mentioned to me. And I'll show you that later on. But you don't have to bend over backwards trying to justify what a MAGA person says. You can admit, that they are misinformed or that they are incorrect. If I don't know all the information, that's why I have people say, hey, can you go and fact check that for me? It's okay if you don't know everything. Doesn't mean that you're inferior. Doesn't mean that you are less than. It actually shows strength when you admit that you don't know something. So, for everyone who's MAGA in here, trying to justify it, you don't have to constantly play this game of being on one side or the other. It's just the game of, it's not even a game. It's just current events, politics, affairs. It doesn't have to be this like us versus them thing. Stop with trying to be so divisive. We're not against you. We're just trying to point this out. It would be funny if Hageman, the person who made this mistake, if she was a Democrat that talked about it, it would be just as absurd. be like, yeah, you made a geographical error, but the problem that you're pinpointing, it also makes a lot of sense. But then when the shoe's on the other foot, they can't do that. They can't do that. Wow. It's the fact that, like, and I'm looking at the chat here for just a second. It's just fascinating to me. Fascinating to me that people have to justify that. Anyway, I love all of you. Please make sure to like the stream. Let me go without any distractions. Let me just go and do the whole story without any distractions. If you're enjoying the stream, please make sure to like the stream, smash that subscribe button. If you want to support me in what I do on my channel, then please subscribe. All right. When I saw this, I was just absolutely floored. House Republican botches U.S. geography while defending Trump's Gulf of America. Let me get to the specifics here, because once we break it down, it's pretty fascinating. Representative Harriet Hageman, a Republican from Wyoming, the person who succeeded Liz Cheney, said that President Donald Trump was right to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America because, she said, Mexico has been polluting the Gulf's waters near San Diego, California. Now, you heard me right. Mexico's been polluting the Gulf's waters near San Diego, California. You're like, wait a minute, hold on. How is that possible? San Diego is on the Pacific Ocean. They are nowhere near a Gulf, let alone the Gulf of America or Mexico, whatever they call it. The Gulf of shifting GOP identity. So, what is she talking about? San Diego, of course, does not touch the Gulf of Mexico. It's in the Pacific Ocean, or on the Pacific Ocean, which is 1,500 miles away. Now, the issue that she points to is a very real issue. We'll get to that. But on Monday, Hageman expressed support for the move during a meeting for the House Rules Committee. She said the main reason was that Mexico has been, quote, dumping raw sewage into the body of water, and that renaming it is a way to claim ownership of this area. This area referring to San Diego, California, which she claims that renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America is thereby claiming ownership and a great step for accountability or whatever. Okay, we're going to break it down here. Just give me a second. Let me go through all of the nonsense. This is what she said, quote, I think another reason we should change this to the Gulf of America versus the Gulf of Mexico is for 40 years, the country of Mexico has been dumping raw sewage into the area near San Diego, California, the lawmaker said. That's another reason we need to retake and claim ownership of this area. Literally, she says San Diego, California. So for all of the people who are trying to claim that it's Texas, listen to the words of your own lawmaker. So before let me just continue here. And she says, and that's another reason we need to retake and claim ownership of this area and make sure that people know it is the Gulf of America. We should not be rewarding Mexico for its bad acts. Of course, Hageman, and of those people she met in San Diego, California, forgot to look at the map because San Diego is not on the Gulf of Mexico. It's on the Pacific Ocean, more than 1,500 miles away. In this video, she talked about it yesterday. It was posted by ASIN around 5 p.m. 5 p.m. yesterday evening. It's gotten almost 2 million views. I would not be surprised if it's about 2 million as of right now, because I took this screenshot a few hours ago. So here she is literally quoting that. Now, let's break this down and look at what some of these comments are saying. San Diego is right here. The Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America, or whatever the Republicans want to call it this today, the Gulf of shifting GOP identity, the Gulf of cunnilinguists, who knows, okay? The Gulf of GOP insanity. It's nowhere near San Diego. Now, this problem that she's alluding to is very real, and we'll talk about that. But before I do, again, there were multiple people that are like, San Diego's not on the Gulf of Mexico. If there is a small gulf that she might be referring to, it's the Gulf of California, which the Gulf of California is this small little inlet right here. So, and guess what? It's not called the Gulf of America there. And of course, oh my God, because Elon Musk, owns Twitter, he has this weird thing called Doge AI that goes through, and it's like a robotic thing that goes through and just like provides whatever context that he wants to spew out there. So this person said, renaming the Gulf of the Doge AI said, renaming the Gulf of America isn't just symbolic, it's about accountability. Right, because the best way to stop polluters, or the best way to stop toxic environmental dangerous sewage from getting into the water streams or getting into the public areas, is to just rename it, and that's a fantastic way to start. Rename a body of water 1,500 miles away. That's a fantastic step to stop the problem. No, it's a stupid step. It doesn't do anything. Now, to their credit, it says this requires more than a name change. Oh, you don't say. It demands dismantling the complacency that allowed this mess to fester, real leadership, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not sure how much this happened under the previous administration. If it happened under the previous administration and nothing was done, then yeah, that's bad. I really hope that, this wasn't happening. If it was, then I don't understand why there wasn't more action taken. And who knows, maybe there was action taken and it wasn't enough. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to pretend that it was not an issue if it was happening like this under Biden. And that's not an excuse. I'm just putting it out there in context because I don't worship politicians. Going forward, these are what other people said. This is just a quick little aside here. This person, I read it first as Bubble Wokestein, but it's Bube, I guess. I wonder how mad she'd be if she finds out that 96% of the world, we still see the Gulf of Mexico on Apple and Google Maps, and America is just a parenthetical afterthought. That's so funny. Obviously, this person is not in the United States then, because when I go and look at the map, I see Gulf of America. But anyway, so that must be funny. Now, as this person pointed out, the sewage issue Hageman referenced is real. It is very real, and we'll talk about it. But first, San Diego sits on the Pacific, 1,500 miles from the Gulf that you want to retake. Maybe learn a map before rebranding oceans. Sewage is real, but your geography is garbage. But then, of course, you have all of these people who are in a part of a cult that are just like, I love her. Even though literally she makes a super, super fat, how can you love someone when they make, oh God, what do you do to try and unbrainwash someone from a cult? What do you do? And of course, a lot of people in these comments also were talking about how they thought that she looks a lot like George Santos. I'm not going to comment on that. This is also the same person that said that Kamala Harris was a DEI hire. And also said that intellectually Kamala Harris is really just kind of the bottom of the barrel. Says the person who literally says with her full chest, makes a huge geographic error in front of a rules committee hearing. And you don't think to check a map? Because here's the thing. Are you just ignorant of whatever you're talking about? Or are you incompetent? The fact that you can't even double check. If you're going to claim something geographically, don't you want to look at a map first? Now, unless you say, correct me if I'm wrong, I might not be right on this. If you were to say something like that, then okay, sure, that's different. That's not saying that you concretely know it. But what stuns me What stuns me in this world is when people assert with their whole chest certain things that are just, that they believe are facts when they haven't even double checked that. If I don't know something, I'm going to go and double check it. Like, I am going to go and double check it. But what's fascinating to me is other people don't do that. They don't do that. But you want to know kind of a fun little, or an interesting little thing about me? I used to be a lot like that. No, you heard me right. So I grew up in a very Christian, conservative Southern home. And at one point, I was a lot like this. This is a big trait of people who are MAGA. I was raised MAGA. I was raised to be very, very, very conservative. I even subscribed to Sean Hannity at one point when I was in high school. Yeah, I was that kid. I was raised to basically be an altar boy at my Lutheran church. Anyway, so when I talk about political psychology, it comes from my own experience because I lived it. That's the reason why, like, I always take a different approach to trying to handle these, like, MAGA people, because I've been there. I know what it was like in their shoes. They do this thing where they just assert things with their whole chest without even knowing. And they don't understand how harmful that is, but then also how silly it makes them look. But oftentimes they say, oh, well, why do you overreact? Why do you overreact about it? Because you literally are saying things that are factually incorrect. That can lead to people then believing you, going on wrongful information that could then damage their health. I don't understand people who truly will make something, they'll say something, not even fully knowing if it's real or true or whatever. And if you say something and you're not sure if it is, then you at least admit, hey, I'm not quite sure this is the case, but I just want to level with you. Here you go. There's just not a precision of language there. It's very fly by the seat of your pants. Anyway, I would know because I was there. So this kind of behavior is stuff that I used to do. So it's really interesting when I see it like that. Anyway, going forward here, this person said there's a better chance San Diego is Spanish for whale's vagina. Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that. This person said, how are they supposed to rename it to the Gulf of America if they're unable to locate it? Very fair. Very fair. And, of course, there were more comments like this. I remember when she said Kamala wasn't smart, but are we going to rename New Mexico New America? Don't give them any ideas. Don't give them any ideas. And, of course, you have these people who just spew this kind of crap. They're like, this is why Democrats won't win anymore. They can't understand simple comments and how they lead to a bigger picture. How does making a geographical error when talking about an important problem... How does, what? No, honey. This is called projection. Instead of dealing with the misinformation coming from your own side, you're so desperate to point fingers and say, no, you. That's classic childish projection. They can't respond to anything substantively. They can't defend the insanity coming out of it. So they then decide to just point fingers and spew some sort of crap, trying to make the other side, I guess, look bad. There doesn't need to be any sides. This throw out the sides. Take off the jersey of your party and just look at the information critically. Ask yourself if you would come to the same conclusion if you're looking at this information, if it were coming out of one person's mouth on one side of the political spectrum or the other. If you come to two different conclusions, if you come to a conclusion where Trump says one thing and you're like, oh, bravo. But then if Biden were to say that same thing, if you're like, no, that's bad. You're acting as a partisan hack. You've devoid yourself of critical thinking skills. You've devoid yourself of any self-autonomy or agency to make your own decisions and look at it objectively. And you've literally just become an empty vessel for partisan control, to be a cog in the machine of whatever political force wants you to do. Don't give in to that. Don't give in to that. Yet, MAGA always does. MAGA always does. Let me go a little bit further here. All she had to do is ask. All she had to do was just look at the map for just a hot second. Now, the issue that she pointed to with raw sewage flowing into the Gulf of America, oh god, I can't even get it right, going from the Tijuana River into San Diego is a real issue. It's a real issue. I'm not discounting that at all. It's just funny that she makes such an egregious geographical error at the same time. And it's hilarious that the right wing, even in the chat, are trying to distract and say, oh, it's Texas. It's San Diego, Texas. No, it's not. She even says California. She even says California. If you go and watch the clip. Go and watch the clip and think for yourself. I can't play the clip online here, unfortunately. That all being said, this is a real issue. So apparently the Tijuana River has been leaching a lot of raw sewage into the area around San Diego, California. And it's led to beach closures nearby. It's like sewage contaminated water. This is obviously something of environmental public health safety concern, all of that stuff. Each day, the Tijuana River carries millions and sometimes billions of gallons of sewage across the U.S.-Mexico border into California, where it dumps into the ocean. So this is a real issue. But let's talk about the Republicans' approach to trying to fix this. She talks about how another reason to change the name to the Gulf of America is because for 40 years, Mexico's been dumping raw sewage into the area near San Diego, California. That's another reason we need to retake and claim ownership of this area. How does renaming a body of water 1,500 miles away somehow solve the problem of polluters polluting an area? And this is the thing. It's like if you were to have a doctor, and that doctor were to say, you know what, you have the symptoms of like, having diabetes, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to do this amputation of your arm because you need to, because your arm, it's just, for your diabetes, we're going to take out your kidney, we're going to take out your liver, and we're going to take off one of your arms. No. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. But see, the reason why, this is my speculation, the reason why Harriet Hageman feels the need to try and do this is because she's looking for ways to constantly lick the boots of Donald Trump. Oh, he changed the name to the Gulf of America. Let me just reference this and see what I can do to try and tie it in to justify, to praise him while talking about this issue. It's such a stretch that she can't even get it right when looking at the map here. So Republicans, MAGA people, don't know geography. Now, I also want to point out here that while she's talking about a real issue, let me also talk about contamination into the Gulf of America or Gulf of Mexico, whatever you want to call it, the Gulf of shifting GOP identity. One of my friends pointed out, who understands some of this stuff personally, was telling me about, like, hey, there are environmental pollutants that leach out into the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, whatever it's called. They're around Houston and Galveston, Texas. And this is something that's been happening for a long time. And you say, oh, well, why didn't the Biden administration do anything about it? Well, that's because under the EPA, there's no laws that allow to actually stop certain contaminants from being leached into the water. And guess what? Under the Trump administration, he rolled back a lot of EPA laws designed to stop pollutants from getting into water streams, getting into public areas. So if you care about this environmental pollution, you do realize that Donald Trump has only exacerbated it. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't give whatever credit to the Trump administration for trying to tackle this problem, and when it comes to San Diego, California under Lee Zeldin. But also, it's funny how you're picking and choosing what issues matter, when also not even looking at the petrochemical industry as a whole, seeing how it poisons people, specifically around petrochemical pollution around places like Cancer Alley in Louisiana. So looking at all of this here, you also see that the Environmental Integrity Project, a Washington, D.C. based nonprofit, released a report stating that 81 oil and gas refineries around the country discharged around 500 million gallons of polluted wastewater each day. That's the equivalent of 700 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Some pollutants found in the wastewater include benzene, cyanide, selenium, and mercury, which that's all really, really bad. Despite the danger that this pollution poses, very little regulation exists and is seldom enforced. A lot of water pollution from refineries is essentially unregulated by the EPA. And the EPA has never set limits on the discharges for pollution, selenium, cyanide, benzene, mercury, and many others. Now, if the Trump administration under Lee Zeldin actually does regulate these chemicals, guess what you'll see me do? You'll see me give them credit. You'll see me say, yeah, actually, that's good. Credit where credit is due. And criticism where criticism is warranted. Because guess what? I don't care about partisanship as much as I truly care about policy, about issues, about the things like climate change, environmental racism. It's not about whatever party is going for whatever. It's the policy. It's we're the people who are the movers and shakers actually doing something to fix it. But I guarantee you, I will bet my left shoe that this is all just rhetoric. There's actually not going to be any talk about it. There's not going to be any solutions that come out of it. Now, while we're talking about insanity, are you all ready to shift to another topic here? Oh God, there's also an element of this that talks about geography, and we'll get to that. Whew, hold on, I need a sip of coffee real quick. Hold on. You may see from this picture what we're about to talk about. Yes, Donald Trump took to his Truth Social and said that we need to rebuild and open Alcatraz. You're like, okay, Alcatraz, is that medical condition that gives you a bad rash on your inner thigh? No. Alcatraz, if you remember, is the big notorious prison that is on an island that is in San Francisco Bay. Now, what's so funny is that during an interview, Pam Bondi, the acting attorney general, actually was talking with Larry Kudlow, a Fox News anchor person, who thought that, I guess, Alcatraz was in the Pacific Ocean, which, another geographic error made by a MAGA person. That all being said, this is just one of the most weird, wild things that Trump has said in recent days, but we'll get into it. Again, if you're enjoying the live stream, please make sure to send some likes and also share the live if you can. Subscribe. If you're new here, say hello and where you're tuning in from. I love all of you, even the people that are trying to be obnoxious. I'm not your enemy. Don't make me into your enemy. It's stupid. Don't waste your breath. Do something better with your time. If you don't like the live stream, then just move on. Okay? Cool. Got it. Great. So Donald Trump the other day talked about how we needed to rebuild and open Alcatraz. If you remember, Alcatraz was a big notorious prison that actually is now closed. And it's actually, in fact, a museum where you can go and visit and learn about the history and all of that. It's managed by the National Park Service. What's so wild is I have to go and verify this. I'm not going to tell you something if I don't know it's true. I have heard that the people who run the Alcatraz Museum had no idea about this until it dropped. Just imagine working at the Alcatraz Museum, and then all of a sudden the President of the United States talks about how they want to, how he wants to reopen Alcatraz as a prison. That would just be wild. I really want to get a quote from people who were working there to see if that's true or not. I don't know. That being said, what I do know is he said, rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. Misery and suffering are the two twisted stepsisters that live in my basement, and let me tell you, they're gorgeous. When we were a more serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock them up, the most dangerous criminals. He goes on, yada, yada, yada. Says, I am directing the Bureau of Prisons together with the Department of Justice, the FBI, Homeland Security to reopen and substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz. Y'all, okay, let me just get to this. So this is Alcatraz. Again, this was it's managed by the National Park Service. It's a big, notorious prison that we used to house some of the most dangerous people. Now, I'll tell you about why it closed and then how it opened as a museum. We'll get to that. But just to kind of highlight here, Alcatraz the prison was closed in 1963 and it reopened as a public museum. And it's in San Francisco Bay. It is a big tourist attraction, all of that. What's so funny is, like, in order to reopen this, it would cost a decent amount of money. But I guess maybe Doge is on it. Maybe Doge is like, oh, this might be a waste of money. Oh, you know what? No, that's what Donald Trump wants. That's not going to be a waste of money. So you cut cancer research. You cut aid to veterans. You gut the IRS and tried to gut the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And instead, you want to then use that money to then do a big military parade for yourself and reopen Alcatraz. This guy is like an 1890s imperialist at heart. That's what Donald Trump is. I'd not be surprised if he truly thinks that he is like Jackson reincarnated into modern day. I mean, jeez. Anyway, which, by the way, Jackson, that's the guy who did the Trail of Tears. Just saying. It's like, can't pay for anything that actually benefits Americans, but you can go and pay for Trump to golf 3 times a week, military parade on his birthday, and a reopening and renovating of Alcatraz because Trump saw The Rock and Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage on TV the other night. So, of course, you had a whole bunch of people saying that this is just distracting us from a crashing economy. That's also very fair. How very efficient of him. Alcatraz closed because it was far too expensive to operate, amongst other reasons. And yeah, that is very true. Let me tell you, this is from the Bureau of Prisons. This is from the Bureau of Prisons. You can see up here, it's an official website of the United States government. And it talks about how you know. This is from the BOP, the BOP, which stands for the Bureau of Prisons. And the Bureau of Prisons literally talks about how Alcatraz, also known as The Rock, was closed not because of the disappearance of Morris or England's. The decision to close the prison was long made before they disappeared, not because of any sort of prisoners specifically, but it closed because it was too expensive to keep operating. Specifically, Alcatraz was too expensive to keep operating. And you're like, well, why? Well, let me tell you why. Oop, wrong thing. That's what it looks like if I don't resize things. Oh geez, where'd it go? Where did it go? Here it is. So, it was too expensive to keep operating. An estimated $3 to $5 million was needed just for restoration and maintenance work to keep the prison open. That figure did not include daily operating costs. Alcatraz was nearly 3 times more expensive to operate than any other federal prison. In 1959, the daily per capita cost at Alcatraz was $10.10 compared with the $3 at USP and Atlanta. The major expense was caused by the physical isolation of the island. The exact reason islands have been used for prisons throughout history. The isolation meant that everything, food, supplies, water, fuel, had to be brought to Alcatraz by boat. For example, the island had no source of fresh water, so nearly 1 million gallons of water had to be barged to the island each week. The federal government found that it was more cost-effective, more efficient, to build a new institution than to keep Alcatraz open. So thereby, it then became a museum. So for Donald Trump to say that we want to rebuild Alcatraz is absolutely insane. But yet that didn't stop his henchwoman from going on Fox News to say that she's like, oh, I think it will lead to some cost savings. What? So Pam Bondi, our acting attorney general, geez Louise, says that she believes that opening Alcatraz, she's like, I'm all for it, will lead to cost savings. Like, what? She's like, I'm all for that. And I think there will be cost savings. Where? She says, we'll have specialty trained guards. They'll be in isolation. They won't be able to run their businesses. We'll send a strong message, yada, yada. She goes on about all of that stuff. But how would you save the money? But here's the thing. It doesn't need to make sense. She just goes on and says that she supports it. She just blatantly lies, doesn't need to make any sense whatsoever. It's whatever she can do in order to appease Trump's ego. And guess what? That's where our country is. People are literally just doing whatever so that they can stop Trump from crying. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. That's not how you're supposed to run a country. But yet, that's what we voted for. It's what America voted for. Anyway. So, it's just, that's a whole nother aspect. The fact that Donald Trump wants to reopen Alcatraz. The Bureau of Prisons, which is an institution underneath Pam Bondi, our acting attorney general, is like, yeah, the reason why it closed is because it was too expensive to keep open. Look at it from a business perspective. It's not cost effective to reopen Alcatraz. It's definitely not. Also, think of it like this. I'm not sure whether the people at Alcatraz that run it as a museum were given any sort of heads up whatsoever of this whole idea, but put yourself in the shoes of working there. And all of a sudden you just get all of a sudden you hear that the president is like, yeah, we want to reopen the place where you work at as an actual prison. You'd be like, oh my God, what about my job security? This is the stuff. How are you supposed to lead a country with such impulsive leadership? It doesn't need to make sense though. My phone is starting to run on low battery, so I need to plug it into my car, so I need to start my car. Oh, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This is, SNL could never. SNL could never. Whew. Now, let's get to some other stuff here, because, it's an absolute gold mine. Absolute gold mine. But are we doing okay in the chat? I love all of you. Let's talk about another... Let's talk about another thing. So, I reported the other day how Donald Trump wants to do a big military parade for his birthday. I guess don't tell Doge, because that is going to cost, and estimates to 50 million to 90 million for this parade. Yeah. Waste, fraud, and abuse? Nope. Throwing a big military parade is definitely not what dictators do. Trump defends the high price tag for his military parade in the interview with Kristen Welker, where he then said, oh, listen, Kristen, that's peanuts. That's peanuts compared to the value. Just think about what you're getting. It's fantastic. So, let me get to that. If you're enjoying the live stream, please make sure to send some likes. You all are incredible, even if you hate me, because, I appreciate all of you. President Trump told NBC News he plans to hold several events to celebrate U.S. military victories this year, including one big, beautiful, I need my hands, one big, beautiful, huge military parade in Washington, D.C. to commemorate Flag Day, which also happens to fall on his birthday. My birthday happens to be on Flag Day. You know, someone named Claudia Tenney, who is a congresswoman from New York, from like one of those New York districts that's in North New York, was actually introduced a bill in Congress to make my birthday a national holiday. It's actually true. Y'all, that's actually true. Go and look up Claudia Tenney, congresswoman, introduced a bill to make Donald Trump's birthday a national holiday. She should be immediately primaried. She needs to be immediately primaried. Look, if you want to do that, that's something that happens after someone passes away. If you want to do a birthday to commemorate a person, that's what you do when someone passes away. You rename a street after them. You rename a square after them. You rename a park after them. You don't do that kind of crap when they're alive. It's also, like, I'm just curious. I would want to interview people in Claudia Tenney's district and be like, how do you feel that your congresswoman is introducing this? Meanwhile, do you think that should be her first priority? Like, oh God, if Democrats actually knew how to fight back, they would be doing that kind of crap. Anyway, but going back to this military parade thing here, my birthday happens to be on Flag Day. One of the best days ever. You know, someone told me that, you know, I am like a walking red flag, and I said, woo, shots fired. Trump told NBC News Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker in a wide-ranging interview. I view it for Flag Day, not necessarily for my birthday. Somebody put it together, but no, I think we're going to do something on June 14th, or maybe somewhere around there, but I think June 14th is a very important day. Very important date. And Kristen Welker says, okay, well, are you concerned about the price tag of this parade? It's going to cost anywhere from like $50 million to $90 million in order to do this just like performative thing. He goes, oh, listen, Kristen, that's peanuts. That's peanuts compared to the value of actually doing it. Donald Trump is sitting there and, like, you know the Peanuts comics where, like, Charlie Brown's teacher, it's like, it sounds like, well, wah, 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 wah. He was just sitting there listening to Kristen Welker being like, wah, 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 and he just immediately thought peanuts. He's like, that's peanuts. Let me tell you, that's peanuts compared to the value of actually doing it. Then he says, we have the greatest missiles in the world. We have the greatest submarines in the world. We have the greatest army tanks in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. And we're going to celebrate it. Here, let me just lay out a couple facts here. Fact, Donald Trump literally cut veterans benefits, tried to eliminate the crisis hotline for veterans, going through and doing massive cuts at the VA. All of that is fact. Another fact is that he wants to do massive cuts at the VA while also spending millions of dollars on a military parade. Do you think that makes sense? Another fact, many people who do military parades are notoriously known throughout history. North Korea does military parades. Hitler did military parades. Mussolini, Stalin, the dictators do military parades. How does doing a military parade benefit people? Newsflash, it doesn't. It doesn't. Wanting to do a military parade on your birthday, yeah, that's like North Korea type crap there. And yet that's where we're going. It's okay to be a Republican and look at this and be like, you know what, that's crazy. We don't need that. How about we actually use that money to pour back into Veterans Affairs? I'd be right there with you. I'd be like, you know what, let's do it. This is a complete waste of money. Where's Doge when you need them? Oh yeah, no, Doge is going through and cutting cancer research for children, going through and trying to gut the NIH, going through and finding things like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau or the IRS that audits wealthy tax people, wealthy tax cheats, trying to gut people. How is it that, like, Doge goes through and they're like, you know what, let's do efficiency, let's lay off all these people? How does increasing unemployment increase efficiency? It doesn't. But it doesn't need to make sense. So going through here, I mean, this massive military parade is estimated to cost anywhere from 90 to to 50 to 90 million dollars. And it's going to take like, 6,600 soldiers, at least 150 vehicles, 50 helicopters. This was the detailed army plans that were released, all of that stuff. According to the planning documents obtained by the Associated Press, that they were dated April 29th and 30th. They haven't been publicly released, but the Associated Press was able to get them, talking about how this would be the 250th anniversary, and this would be on Donald Trump's birthday, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that, like, it would cost a lot of money to house people, to bring all of this stuff in, but yet, what does it do? Put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say that Biden decided, or Kamala Harris or Obama said, you know what, I'm gonna hold a massive military parade on June 14th, which happens to be my birthday and happens to fall right when we're celebrating the military. You know what the right wing would say? They'd be like, well, that's awfully convenient. You're trying to celebrate your birthday by using a military parade. They would immediately point to, that's what North Korean dictators do. And guess what? In that fictional scenario, when the shoe was on the other foot, guess what? I would agree with Fox News. Oh my God. Because they would make a substantive point. When you put the shoe on the other foot, if you decide to change your mind, what that then shows is that you are acting as a complete partisan actor. You only act according to your political party. Only act and do whatever you think is best for whatever advantage that you can do for your side. Take off the partisan jersey. Take off the jersey of whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. Doesn't matter. Look at the situation and ask yourself if you would feel the exact same way if it was an independent, Democrat, Republican doing it. Have an ideology. Have a consistent set of beliefs. Have a consistent set of morals. If you then decide that something is good, if your guy does it, but then if another guy does it, it's bad, or vice versa, you're literally acting as a convenient partisan vessel. A convenient partisan vessel for politicians to use. Have some self-respect for yourself. Look at the situation and apply your thinking unilaterally. It's the best way for you to take back agency in order to stop whatever fascistic things that Donald Trump is trying to do. It's the best way for you to protect your family when you have agency over your own life. That all being said, what does it say about America that right now you have an unelected billionaire like Elon Musk going through gutting agencies that are actually overseeing investigations into his companies, and they are not auditing, they're not going after the efficiency of this. They're not going after that. This is where like I find myself is I'm just trying to inform people about what's happening. I'm trying to just put things in context, put the shoe on the other foot, encourage empathy, look at the facts here. What do we know? What do we not know? My duty is to educate and inform, spread awareness, and make it easier to understand. Find your niche in this crazy political moment. And that's just like the fact that Donald Trump doubled down on this in the interview with Kristen Welker is just crazy to me. He's like, oh, it's peanuts compared to the value of the parade itself. So Donald Trump thinks that it's okay to gut cancer research. Trump thinks that it's okay to gut the NIH or the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or to lay people off massive unemployment for people. But then it's okay to spend millions of dollars on a big military parade. It's a joke. Now, I have a couple other things before I end the stream here. I'm going to be ending it soon. If you enjoyed this content, if you enjoyed this live stream so far, please make sure to subscribe. I work super, super hard. I'm going to be releasing my first members only video here soon. So I appreciate every single one of you that has subscribed as well. Y'all are, or that has joined the channel as well. Y'all are incredible. Now, another thing that Donald Trump said in this interview with Kristen Welker that I found just like absolutely obnoxious was that when Kristen Welker asked, when they were talking about the economy, Donald Trump said, Kristen Welker asked, well, when does it become the Trump economy? Donald Trump responds, it partially is right now. I mean, it really is. He says verbatim, quote, I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy. I can't. How are you going to say the good parts are all you, the bad parts are all other people? And it reminds me of this moment. If you all remember, this was a while back. This was a while back in 2022. During the midterms, when Donald Trump endorsed different candidates, different Republicans for office. This is literally what he said verbatim. He said, well, if those candidates win, I should get all the credit. And if they lose, I should not be blamed at all. How do you respond to that? How do you respond to that? He says, if they win, I should get all the credit. And if they lose, I should not be blamed at all. Imagine for a second, just 1 second, if Biden were to have said that. You know what the right wing would do? They would have a 3-week press tour about how Biden is incompetent, doesn't make any sense, is unfit for office, needs to be replaced, blah, blah, blah. And they would have a point. Then it's their guy, it's like, ooh, you know what? This is the best thing ever. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. You make so much sense. Or you could just stand by principle and not have to constantly bend over backwards to justify what he says. So when Donald Trump said that, like, all the good parts of the economy are all me, all the bad parts of the economy are all Biden. It's all Biden. That's pretty convenient, bucko. You know, that's pretty convenient. Pretty convenient for you to say. This person's like, this country is so effing stupid. Duh, when it's good, it's Trump's. When it's bad, it's Biden's. It's pretty clear that's his approach to everything. Everything. And then this person is obviously like not even looking. He's like, oh, you might want to open your eyes and look around. Oh yeah, buddy, that's what we're doing. It's like he wants credit for the parts he didn't touch and immunity for the parts he broke. That's also a very fair comment. And like, this person says he hasn't been there long enough to break anything. Okay, well then he can't take credit for all the good parts of the economy either, which undermines the exact thing that he said in his statement. He's a petulant child who lives by the not me child doctrine. Like, again, if think of it like this. If your kid did something and it had benefits and costs, if there was a good part and a bad part, and the kid were to say, oh, all the good parts of that are all because of me, but all the bad parts are because of that person. It's like, no, you own the whole thing. You own the whole project. That's all you. Does Donald Trump think that Americans are that stupid that they'll fall for this kind of, like, nonsense? Well, I guess maybe he's right, because MAGA, you fall for this all the time. Imagine if Biden said that. Imagine if Biden said that. They'd be like, oh, you know, maybe he is, you know, maybe he is mentally incompetent. Democrats saw how Biden was performing in debates, and they were like, oh, yeah, maybe we need to replace our nominee. And they replaced him. They were like, yeah, maybe we should. Let's go with Kamala Harris as vice president. That's the difference. When Democrats experience criticism, they respond to that, be like, maybe there's a point here. Maybe there's actually some, reason. Maybe there's some valid point here. So they replace Biden with Kamala Harris. When Democrats receive criticism, or when Republicans receive criticism, they're like, no, 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 nope, 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 nope. Clowns. Clownery. Absolute clownery. And his followers believe all his lies. Again, it's very much heads I win, tails you lose. I say that all the time. I'm so glad that people are starting to catch on to that. I actually, if anything, I do view myself as one of the originators of that thing. The reason why is because I love watching Scooby-Doo, and there was one scene where Shaggy was telling Scooby-Doo to go and look for whatever ghost, and he says, okay, we'll flip a coin. Heads I win, tails you lose. I didn't come up with the original statement, but I've been saying that about politics this whole time, and I'm so glad that other people are starting to view it that way too. Of course, then there was this person who also commented that. So this person said, President Trump expected to rename the San Andreas Fault to Joe Biden's fault. It's like I would not be surprised if Donald Trump comes out tomorrow and decides to try and rename New Mexico New America. Like, don't give him any ideas, but oh my god. Anyway, it's just, we have a clown for our president. Clown for our president. Also, y'all, we are in the midst of setting up a Discord, so I wanted to shout that out. My good friend Ilisa is helping to do that. I know I need to kind of get on that. So if you're interested in setting up and being a part of the Discord, then please let Ilisa know in the chat. Y'all are incredible. I definitely need to set that up so that we can continue having a community. So y'all are awesome. And shout out to my amazing moderators. I mean, they do an amazing job. I could not do this live stream without them. Like, I work so hard to do what I do here on YouTube. I almost said TikTok. Oh, I haven't been on TikTok in the longest time. But, like, I appreciate every single one of you. I really, really do. And I also want to point out, before I end the live stream, and I'm going to be doing so here shortly, another thing that Donald Trump said the other day, which isn't getting a lot of coverage, but this is still wild, is Donald Trump wants a 100% tariff on all foreign films, all foreign movies coming into our country, all films that are produced in foreign lands, saying we want movies to be made in America. Y'all, bucko, we have this thing called Hollywood. We are the Hollywood. America is the movie-making capital of the world. If we were to do a tariff on foreign films, oh God, like, do you not realize that a lot of films are also international? Like, a lot of films require expertise. They require crews, people from all different places around the world. And if you're filming and it's set in this place or this place or this place, like, this is just it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I really want to see what people within, like, the cinematic industry would have to say about that. Tariffs on movies is so stupid. But this is what this guy does. I mean, he wants to reopen Alcatraz. This is a guy who says that he's not sure if he has to follow the Constitution, even though he swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. Like, and lastly, I started out with this, and I'm going to end the live stream with this. This is something he posted 5 p.m. yesterday. If you think that you're prepared for this, you're not. So let me just read this here. We won 2 world wars, but we never took credit for it. Everyone else does. Donald Trump is literally saying, rightfully, that we won 2 world wars, World War I, World War II, but that we don't take credit for it. Okay, so I guess the history books don't say that we won World War I or World War II. Like, who is he saying that we is? We never took credit for it. What world are you living in? And he says everyone else does. Everyone else takes credit for America helping to win World War I and World War II? Like, MAGA is going to be Gumby by the end of this term of Trump because they are having to stretch and bend and justify all the crazy crap, all the crazy shit that Trump has always said. And then, so he then goes, we won 2 world wars, but we never took credit for it. Everyone else does. All over the world, the Allies are celebrating the victory we had in World War II. The only country that doesn't celebrate it is the United States. What in the world is this man talking about? This maniac. But then it gets even worse, y'all. He says, therefore, I'm hereby declaring a national holiday in celebration of the victories of World War I, where the armistice was signed in November 11th of 1918, and World War II, where the victory date was May 8th of 1945. Then he goes on to say, we will not be closing the country for these 2 very important holidays. We will not be closing the country for them because we already have too many holidays in America. We already have too many holidays in America. Okay. But wait, he says, there are not enough, hold on, it's hard. There are not enough days left in the year, is what he said. So he says, we will not be closing the country for these 2 very important holidays. He's trying to create these national holidays, but they won't be closed. There'll be, I guess, declarations in name only. Then says, there are not enough days left in the year because we already have too many holidays. What is this man talking about? You say we don't have enough days left in the year for holidays? Is there a holiday on every day? Like, what is he talking about? For everyone, this is what incompetence and dementia looks like. Y'all, we need to invoke the 25th. This is not the prime reason to invoke 25th. I mean, he said crazy stuff. But the fact that, and I talked about this yesterday, Donald Trump literally said that he says, I don't know if he has to uphold the Constitution. That's the oath that you took to become president. The guy doesn't even know what's in the Declaration of Independence. Terry Moran, an ABC News reporter, asked, hey, Trump, what do you think of the Declaration of Independence? What does it mean to you? He goes, well, it's a declaration. It's a declaration, and it means unity and love. The Declaration of Independence means unity? Dude, the Declaration of Independence, that was like America's divorce papers from England. It's not going to be unity. God. The incompetence is just baffling. Look, if you were someone that voted for Trump, I'm going to be like, yeah, you voted for this kind of thing. But it's okay to admit when you're seeing all this chaos to be like, oh crap, you know what? I voted for him because he promised he'd fix the economy and he's not doing that and he just sounds unhinged. It's okay to admit that you made a mistake. It's okay to admit, yeah, I voted for him and you know what? That was a bad idea. It's okay. It's okay to admit that you voted for someone that you were duped by someone like that. It's okay to admit when you make mistakes. Mistakes don't, your current or past mistakes don't define you 100%. I have said and done awful things in the past, but that doesn't mean that that's present me, and that doesn't mean it's going to be future me. There are all these MAGA people that I think that there is a subsection of people who voted for Trump that are looking for an out. This is your moment. You're seeing all this crap. You're seeing the impending tariffs causing economic recession. If you are looking for an out from this cult, this is your moment. Have it. I'm saying this as someone who grew up in a very Christian, conservative Southern family. I was raised to practically be an altar boy. I was raised subscribing to Sean Hannity, having Fox News on. I believed all of it. I was raised and indoctrinated into it. And only when I went to college and started learning about XYZ that I was like, you know what? This is not how it is. No, I was not brainwashed by school. No, what they instead gave me was critical thinking skills to look at things and actually have a set of morals, beliefs, and values. I look at everything and I'm critical of everything all the time. It's like one of my big strengths, but it can also be a flaw because I look at things that are generally good sometimes and I'm just overly critical. That all being said, if you are one of these MAGA people, free yourself from the cult. It's okay to admit that you made a mistake. You might have people that are like, yeah, you need to atone for the damage that you did. But also, you don't have to be this living embodiment of all of your past mistakes. You can also be a living embodiment of the future good things that you're going to do. So, anyway, I have to skedaddle. Oh my gosh, I've been on for 85 minutes. Oh, goodness gracious. You all are amazing, even if you don't like me, okay? Y'all are amazing, even if you don't like me. This was a really awesome live stream. Shout out to all of my amazing moderators in here. Y'all are incredible. I've barely even looked at the chat. I wish that I could look at it more, but of course, people are obnoxious. Shout out to all my moderators in here. Akicha, y'all are incredible. You're incredible. Ellie, Jenny, Joanna Tech, Cherie, Kate, Ilisa. I could not do this without any of y'all. Aw, I love all of you. Oh, look at that. So y'all are incredible. I also just posted 2 other videos. So something I'm going to do is I have my main live stream, but then I'm going to break down parts of past live streams and post them as videos. I think that is what I'm planning to do going forward with my channel. So I appreciate every single one of you. There are only trolls and those trolling us trolls. Yeah. And see, that's the thing. When it comes down to like this live chat, most people who watch and listen to the live are quiet listeners. They don't engage in endless like chats. Y'all are the reason I do my live stream. Sometimes like 90% of the comments are taken up by only 9 people in the room. And that's what happens a lot with these MAGA people when they go in and infiltrate these things. That's why I don't look at the chat. But that also means that I miss positive comments from other people. So, I love all of you. Oh, thank you, Cass. Shout out to all of the people who have joined the channel, who have become members of the channel. Y'all are awesome. Shout out to all of my amazing moderators in here. I cannot do this without you all. Love your vibe. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so cute. I appreciate you saying that. Shout out to Akicha, Ellie. I love you. Kate, Elisa, Cherie. Y'all are incredible. Jenny, Joanna Tech, Elisa, Ellie. Y'all are incredible. Awesome. So, thank you all so much. I love all of you. Please go and check out my latest content. If you enjoyed the live, please make sure to subscribe before we end it. I love all of you so much. Just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!